Welcome to Lifestyle by SK, where wine, cigars, and relationships create that tapestry of extraordinary experience. And so, people, I'm pleased to announce that we are now on episode 2, Dating in Reality, Not a Fantasy. So, this should be a pretty good topic that many of you can definitely tap into. Hopefully, you'll learn some things and be able to pull some things from it so it helps somebody else out there. But dating today, and I just want to make sure that we get this all in the ropes here. But dating today feels like a game to people. It feels like you're in this game and you're trying to get to the end. And the game is like the feeling that nobody is winning, but the social media reality is showing that people are winning, people are living the rich and famous lifestyle, and that men are told they have to go chase the fakeness. Well, I'm here to tell you today that women are told to test. And we're going to be looking at the dating in reality, not a fantasy, from the male's perspective. Now, everybody's performing and nobody's connecting in today's society because people are performing for the views. They're taking the phones, they're taking the pictures, doing the videos. Hard to go out to eat and really enjoy talking and conversing with the person because you're in competition for their attention, but everybody else online is wanting their attention. So attention is the new currency in the social media market today, especially in the midst of relationships. And that is one of many reasons why people are not dating, because it's now in survival mode that we have going in right now. But what I want to take a look at is a couple of different points here. I want to look at the new rules of attraction and what they are. Used to, people used to go to the mall. Okay. They would go to the mall, they would get dressed up, freshen up, get your cologne on. You will go to the mall, and hopefully you will see a group of girls that you could talk to, and you would just hang out and maybe eat at the food court if you were dating somebody, and you would just kind of window shop and just kind of go and enjoy the mall. And you don't see that like right now. That connection piece is not there anymore, because what you would see is what we used to see in the mall is when we will walk through, you'll see a group of girls on one side, a group of boys on the other, and then everybody kind of pick and choose who they will want to go talk to. And then you will hear the girls chuckling and laughing and talking, oh girl, I think he's looking at you and all this and that. Then they kind of all of a sudden start splitting up and they start talking with one another, and they may sit down and enjoy some food together, and they just enjoy each other's company. The real connections before now people get embarrassed online through our social media apps. And you know what all of them are. I always call them out every single time. But overall, every single one of our social media apps right now has changed the dynamic and the game in which it's played right now. Because see, instead of you using your mind and your reality and you actually talking and getting to know someone, you're now actually just sitting in the convenience of your room, and people doing, females doing OnlyFans and Instagram models, whatever that is. And that real connection is not there because the men are seeing nothing but fake women out here trying to get their attention so they can pay their way to them. That's what we're living in right now, people. But here's the thing. This whole kick is that validation over value. That's what we're in right now. Now, men feel that they have to sell themselves, like they have to make a certain amount of money or be in a certain status in the corporate atmosphere instead of just being themselves, is what they used to be, just walking in the mall. And so now we transition from the mall to now into people in adulthood. There's difference in lifestyle changes that's right there. Because now when you used to didn't have anything, your parents would drop you off at the mall. Now you have to have your own car. or maybe Uber somebody or fly somebody out to see you. That's the reality that we're living in right now. And that status is now speaking a whole lot louder than the actual character and consistency of the person. Because remember, in episode one, I talked about the consistency that men are having to do to better themselves. And so it's now the tables are kind of beginning to turn, because it's like, okay, are the women now looking for consistent men, or are they looking for men who have a certain value attached to them in terms of money or the amount of money that they make? Now, relationships, as we know of, is now built on the image of what they see other people going through. Just so that you can test this for yourself, just go on your social media app. Go on there, and like within the first 20 scrolls, you're going to see something about relationships. And somebody's going to be showing you their affluent lifestyle in which they're living a single life. And that's not the reality that we should be pushing. We should not be pushing that type of reality right now. What we should be pushing is for people to get out here and be intentional of who they are dating. So, fellas, you should most definitely be much more intentional in who you are dating. Stop chasing these so-called Instagram models. Stop these, going to these OnlyFans pages. Go out and actually meet a lady in public. Find you a lady, a woman, an adult woman in public that you can actually talk to, that you can see that she is really true to herself and that she wants to actually have a conversation with you. That's what you, if you're going to chase anything, chase that. Don't chase the views and things online. Don't chase the profiles and the pictures and things online. Okay. Because that's what we really have to break it down to. Now, once you see that, you have to also look into the reality of rejection culture that we're in right now. So, as I use the example of being in the mall, when you got rejected live right there, and other people were around, they would laugh at you when you got rejected. Okay, because guess what? They would say your game is weak. But now the rejection goes on to YouTube shorts or these short form videos embarrassing a person globally. So instead of you being embarrassed in the food court in the mall, you're now embarrassed across the whole entire world, because guess what? That rejection hits a little bit different right now. It hits different right now in the sense that for men it's silent, but it stacks up because they have to build up against so many different type of things that are out there. And we have to get beyond that. We have to figure out how we can get from point A to point B with our mind intact, with our type of direction that we have in life has to be intact in a way that we are at a point right now. Some men just basically just stop trying all together because of how the way that the game has changed so much. And others, they overcompensate, because you got men who will lie, you got women who will lie as well, and it ends up being a bad relationship. Now, is the problem rejection itself? Could we at least say that? Well, we have to look at a couple of things. It's the lack of space for it to actually process it without feeling less masculine. Because men are very tactile people. We have to actually touch in order to understand. We have to we see it logically in the most simplistic way for us to get through that particular thing that are going through. And so a grown man will need, to remember, because here's the thing, rejection doesn't lower your value. What it does is it just reveals where peace doesn't live. So if you're rejected by a woman, fellas, that you really wanted, don't let that get you down. Move on to the next person, because that person just opened up a door of opportunity for you to get with the next person in line, wherever that they may be. Now, looking at the other side, which is the fantasy versus the real thing that we're seeing in life, the fantasy is going to be social media. But the reality is going to be the people that you interact with on a daily basis. Whether, fellas, you're going to the coffee shop, say you left the barber shop, you're going to go get you a cup of coffee, you go, you see a nice looking lady that's there, and you physically see her, and you go to approach her to sit down and have a conversation in the most respectful way and manner, then that leads to other things of a possible date. But what we're doing now is we're meeting people online through apps like, some people, I'm trying to think of a couple of ones, but the one that comes to mind is like Match.com or whatever these other dating apps are. People are meeting folks through. You're basing your selection off of an algorithm. The natural algorithm is you being in that physical place, meeting that particular person right there, in live, in the flesh, right there. People appear to not want to even talk anymore. You will be more than surprised meeting somebody that you can actually go right over to them and have a conversation with. So, ladies, when a fella approaches you in public and he is respectful, if you're not interested, there's a nice way that you can say it. And then people can move on their separate ways. Fellas, you may see a lady looking at you, you may not be interested. There's a way that you can handle that. But we shouldn't be just start recording people and posting our natural selection process that we have online for other people to judge how the way that person did or didn't get that other person's attention. That is a big problem that we have. But too many people are going to chase the social media fantasy because it is convenient. They don't have to talk to anybody, and they can sit twiddling their thumbs, scrolling through a page, selecting a person that they don't even know, who lives somewhere way further than where they are, rather than choosing someone that's right there, because the perfect partner doesn't exist. And that's the highlight of the real, REEL, relationships. See, the real relationships are the ones you scrolling through on those reels, finding somebody. But the REAL, the real relationships, are the ones that you actually go out and talk to somebody and actually find the person that you are supposed to be with. Because real love isn't Instagram. Real love isn't Twitter. Real love isn't TikTok. Real love isn't Meta or Facebook. Real love isn't X. Real love isn't social media. I can understand a person going online, they're new to a city, they go and look up some places to eat, they see a person they like, they may chat with them, then they meet and actually have a factual conversation, and then things move on. I can understand that. I give a little bit of lenient, you know, credit towards that way. But for somebody to be on opposite sides of the world, never met somebody, and they're in a relationship with somebody that they've never met, and they're on these social media apps, and that is your only primary source of finding somebody, it's definitely not a good road to go down, people, because it's going to lead to a road of disaster. And that's not even worth your time or day, fellas, getting involved in those particular type of relationships. Now, real love, it's going to require some patience. It's going to require you to put your thinking cap on and figure out how you can maneuver yourself to that point. Because think about it. We've worked on season 1 getting into the stability of your mind, men, in order to position yourself to be able to move into these functional relationships. Because if you have yourself right, what man is going to release his daughter over to you for you to possibly marry if you decide to go down that track or possibly date? Because there will come a time to where you will maybe go to family functions, these family events. It's going to be uncles and aunties, nephews, nieces, and cousins there that's going to be evaluating you. And if you are mentally unstable men, then they're going to see that and they're going to distance her away from you. But if you are mentally stable and the family sees that and the other people that she take you around sees that, they're going to probably push her to say, you know what, that is a good man that you have. How are you going to keep him, ladies? Because I want to be able to provide some information to the men that are out there. And if they take it, that's great. If they don't, they don't. My goal, as I've said multiple times on the channel, is to get the man and the woman together so that they can create a family, so they can create a legacy and build a foundation for their home to create their legacy. That is the purpose of this relationship channel. And I'm specifically focusing on the men because being a masculine man and being able to provide some insight that may be able to help someone out there, the more positive affirmations that I speak on and talk about can help some man that is going through it, older or younger. But us younger men learn from the older men because we want to be able to show them that it's going to require patience for you to find yourself. It's going to require patience for you to find that person that you are supposed to be with. If I had a daughter, I would want to make sure that whoever that she's going to be with is going to be a stable man. Think about that, fellas. If those of you that have daughters that are out there, fellas, are probably much more protective than you were if you would have sons. Because it's different. It hits different, fellas, if you have sons and your son brought somebody else's daughter home to meet you, and you're like, you know what, my son did a great job in selecting the person that he's with. But if your daughter's brought a man home, fellas, you will feel some kind of way and you would be checking that man out to make sure that he is physically okay, that he is mentally okay, he has something going for himself, he's mentally stable, he's got his self together. See, getting yourself together to me is a man that is working or has legal ways of him providing for his wife, his family, no matter what level on the income scale that man is on. I don't care if he works at a fast food restaurant as a manager to somebody that's a head of a corporation. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is the home stable, both the man and woman there to provide for the children. Because see, I'm trying to bring the families together. I don't like seeing mothers, single fathers, and single mothers raising kids on their own unless their spouse is deceased or something. But I don't like seeing that. And just maybe if we are better selective of the people of who we're dating, if we have a better selection of them, if our minds are right, men, and we select right, we won't have to divorce the wrong person. I want, before you all even think about having children, I want to be sure, for one, that both of you are meant to be together, that you know we're in this together. We're going to figure this out. That man is going to be mentally right. He's going to choose the right woman. And then they're going to figure out how they want their lifestyle to go. They have family and they're in it. They're in it till the end. To death do you all part. And you're creating your family. We can stop the broken homes. Men, we have to choose right. Ladies, you have to choose right. Both of you have to talk and communicate and know if you all should be creating families together. If you're wrong for each other, don't create families together. That's what is going to help as we're going through these episodes, is keep that in mind. This is the real thing. This is not a fantasy. This is a reality. But I want this to help you all. Just keep this in mind. I really want y'all to keep this in mind, because if your love can't survive the silence, it's not love. It's most definitely in entertainment culture that we're in now. But when we look at the maturity level in modern love, I must ask that, or ask and also say that the mature men out there know his worth and dates with a purpose and not pressure. But do you all think that men are much more pressured now in relationships than they have been before? Do you think there's more pressure on the men? Do you think the expectations are higher now than what they were back then? See, I grew up in a time where I saw some people, even in the neighborhood, who were married or together. At least I thought, when I saw the man and woman in the home together, at least I thought that they were married. At least some of them do now that I know now. Some older were, but there were a couple of married couples. Even in the hood, there were more married couples. There was a lot of married people that was ca- within our community. Like, I can literally go back and point at the exact locations where they were living, that I saw both the man and woman in the house and a couple of kids. I can literally go back and remember and see that. And there were some single mothers, of course, around and stuff. But seeing that now, and then seeing this where we are in 2025, I would say that there is more pressure on the men now than anything. Because it's like everybody has lost their purpose in trying to find the person that they're supposed to be with. But men, a man who knows his purpose is not afraid to walk away when peace costs less than presence. Let that sink in for a second. If a man is going to want peace, he's going to find it by any means necessary. So, ladies, if you're not right, he's walking. But the goal isn't to find the perfect person. The goal is not to find perfection. The goal is to build a connection where you all can come together and move forward and beyond from that. But if you don't take anything else from anything that I've talked about today, and I'm definitely going to be getting much more deeper into these conversations, but dating isn't about proving your worth or how much money that you have. That's not what dating is about. It's about protecting your peace that you have, fellas. You have to be able to protect your peace, because if not, some of these women would drive you crazy out here if you do not find your peace. Because once a man understands that, he stops chasing validation from social media and other women validating him and other men validating him. He stops chasing that. He stops chasing validation and starts attracting the alignment of someone that he knows that wants to be there with him. He focuses on where he needs to position himself. He gets that aligned, and then he starts to move on to talk with the person that he is supposed to be with. And so, people, thank you for joining me today on episode 2. Most definitely like, listen, subscribe to the channel. Lifestyle by SK, where wine, cigars, and relationships create that tape ship extraordinary experience. As usual, you all have a good one.